What's up, y'all? Happy Friday. Good afternoon. How is everyone doing today? I am not going to hold you guys long at all today. I really wanted to come on here and give you guys a quick update on the buffoonery that is taking place in Michigan with the Crumbley family, the family of thugs, the family of what the heck is going on. I really needed to give you guys some updates regarding everything that has transpired. Like I told you guys last night, there is literally updates happening it seems like every hour. Like the police are stopping at nothing to really get these answers resolved, get things in motion to really get justice for those innocent lives that were taken at school, and the lives of the people that were injured, and then just the people that are forever going to be scarred from what they witnessed on Tuesday, November the 30th. So thank you guys for whoever's coming in. Like I said, I'm not going to hold you guys long. It's just a plethora. It's just a lot of information that I really want to get out to you guys really quickly. It's actually my baby's birthday today. So that's why y'all don't see me on screen. I'm literally doing this quick video, and then I will update y'all, maybe Sunday or Monday, if there's anything else that happens. It probably won't be a play by play. I'm going to try my best though, because it's hot and ready. Now, the first thing that I want to really talk about is the meeting that took place on Tuesday. So remember how I told you guys yesterday, if you guys did not see my last live replay, gang, please go ahead and watch my last live. But in my last live, I told you guys that there was two meetings that the school actually had with Ethan and his parents regarding some concerns that they had. Prior to these two meetings that took place on November the 29th, Monday, and Tuesday, November the 30th, Ethan really did not have any behavioral issues. Well, you guys, we have the details on what exactly took place on Tuesday and what transpired for the Tuesday meeting. We also now have a better timeline. The times that I gave you guys yesterday was a little off, but we know why it was off. Now that we know what actually happened, I can fill in the blanks for you guys. So on Tuesday, before the school shooting, another teacher alerted the school officials about a drawing that another teacher. So there was one teacher that found this drawing, but there was another teacher that actually reported the drawing. So the teacher that found the drawing found in Ethan Crumbley's desk a drawing of a gun pointing at the words, the thoughts won't stop, help me. That is literally what the teacher found in the desk. I'm going to repeat it for you guys one more time. In Ethan Crumbley's desk, the teacher found a drawing of a gun pointing at the words, the thoughts won't stop, help me. This drawing was found on Tuesday. There was another drawing of a bullet with words saying blood everywhere written above it, and a drawing of a person who appeared to have been shot twice and was bleeding. Now, the prosecutor said that it also included a laughing emoji and phrases, my life is useless and the world is dead. Okay, guys? So that is the reason why the school immediately called for a meeting between Ethan Crumbley and his parents. So I really wanted to give you guys that key piece of information, because a lot of people wanted to know what these meetings were about, because again, a lot of people are holding this school liable for what happened, especially because of that statement that was put out on November the 12th, but then also this shooting. Now it gets worse, unfortunately, you guys. It really gets worse. So after the teacher found the drawing, Ethan was removed from class, and his parents was asked to come to the school immediately. Now, when the parents got to the school counselor showed the parents the drawing of Ethan, and actually stated that they would recommend that he goes to some type of counseling as soon as possible, like within the next 48 hours, you guys. That is what the counselor said. And in true fashion, his parents actually said no. No, no, no. They actually asked that Ethan stay at the school and that they went home. So y'all know what they did? They allowed Ethan to go back to class after seeing these horrific and disturbing drawings that was in his desk. After speaking to the parents and recommending for not only Ethan's safety but the safety of everyone around him, that he goes to some psychiatric help, center, or speak to someone within the next 48 hours, the parents actually said no. They were not open to that idea. They actually rather him just work through it and he can just remain at school. Now, it is really confusing at the fact that they allowed Ethan to stay at school after seeing those drawings, because I remember when I was in school and a little boy, one of my classmates, had brought a butter knife to school. When I tell you guys, it was World War III. Like, they did not take that lightly at all. It was a very serious matter that he had a butter knife. I'm trying to figure out how they would allow this little boy to stay at school after seeing those drawings. So, the shooting did happen right before 1 p.m., right? So remember, I had initially told you guys it happened before noon. No, it happened before 1. So a little bit after noon, like in between noon and 1 o'clock is when the shooting transpired. And it gets worse, you guys. So while the shooting was taking place, Jennifer, which is Ethan's mother, texted her son at 1:22 p.m. and said, "Ethan, do not do it. Ethan, do not do it." Why would you text your son that? Well, she texted her son that because she actually saw that the gun was missing, you guys. After she let him stay at the school, after they got reports of a shooting, on Ethan's phone held a text message from his mother saying, "Ethan, do not do it." It's crazy, you guys. Like, hearing those statements, like, really took me back, because I'm like, "Oh my God." So y'all knew exactly what he was going to do. Yep, India, you just said at the same time. So they knew exactly what he was going to do. Absolutely. Absolutely. The school knew and the parents knew. And instead of immediately dismissing him from the school and trying to, like they said in that statement that I have here, this statement where they stated that they took the safety of others seriously. Instead of abiding by the statement that they issued on the 12th, they let this child stay at the school knowing he had uncontrollable thoughts about things like this, and that he laughed at it. Like I said, he drew a laughing emoji. He drew a laughing emoji at that. Now, again, this is getting to the point where, after they are continuously looking into this case more by more and the parents was reluctant, the prosecutor, let me just tell y'all, the prosecutor is not holding back. She wants everyone held liable. So they did actually issue a statement today. They did a press conference where they actually stated that they are going to hold the parents reliable and they're going to press charges. So I have the video of what the prosecutor said. So we're going to listen to that together. Dudley said, "Would that make the school liable also?" I hope so. In my opinion, I would think so. They should be held liable, especially because they knew exactly what it was, and they have policies in place and procedures in place for a reason. I don't see that those drawings and something of that magnitude would warrant them to not let that, or not make that child go home. I don't see how they let him stay at school. Cool Jazz said, "Honestly, he should have been transported straight to a center or home, and police should have been alerted." Absolutely. And they did not. And literally, walking out of that meeting, he did what he did. It's crazy. Anisha said, "A girl in middle school said something about having a weapon and they expelled her that day." Exactly. Like, I remember these things. They take these things very seriously. So I don't see how they allowed him to stay at school, but they definitely need to be held liable. I hope that a lot of lawsuits come from this, because negligence, I tell you, negligence. But it's also it's the privilege. It's the privilege of it all. And that's the main thing. So this is the prosecutor on the screen, and she is going to be detailing the charges that is being placed upon the thugs' parents, Jen and James. And I'm going to tell you guys why my title is what it is. Shortly after this, they did go on the run. So just had to go ahead and play my disclaimer real quick while we get into this video. And this is going to be a quick one, a quick video.
While the shooter was the one who entered the high school and pulled the trigger, there are other individuals who contributed to the events on November 30th, and it's my intention to hold them accountable as well. It's imperative we prevent this from happening again. No other parent or community should have to live through this nightmare. I have shared previously, and I will reiterate today, that gun ownership is a right, and with that right comes great responsibility. Based on the information and evidence I have received, today I am announcing charges against the shooter's parents, Jennifer and James Crumbley. The charges are as follows. James Crumbley is charged with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter. Jennifer Crumbley is also charged with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter. I will now publish the details that led to that decision and have already previously been made public, which allows me to comment on them in a swear-to that has just taken place in the district court by Officer Tim Willis, Detective Tim Willis. The investigation into the school shooting incident at Oxford High School, which occurred on November 30th, 2021, has revealed that James Crumbley purchased a Sig Sauer 9mm model SP 2022 from Acme Shooting Goods in Oxford, Michigan on November 26, 2021. A store employee confirms that Ethan Crumbley was present with James at the time of the purchase. Per statute, James Crumbley completed ATF Form 5309A. On or about November 26, 21, Ethan Crumbley's social media posts reveal photos of the semi-automatic handgun, along with the caption, "Just got my new beauty today," including an emoji with hearts, "Sig Sauer 9mm. Any questions I will answer," end quote. Subsequent to the purchase of that weapon, one of Jennifer Crumbley's social media posts on about 11/27/21 read, quote, "Mom and Sunday testing out his new Christmas present," end quote. On November 21st, 21, a teacher at the Oxford High School observed Ethan Crumbley searching ammunition on his cell phone during class and reported the same to school officials. Jennifer Crumbley was contacted via voicemail by school personnel regarding that son's inappropriate internet search. School personnel indicate they followed that voicemail up with an email, but received no response from either parent. Thereafter, Jennifer Crumbley exchanged text messages about the incident with her son on that day, stating, quote, "LOL, I'm not mad at you. You have to learn not to get caught," end quote. On November 30th, 21, the morning of the shooting, the next day, Ethan Crumbley's teacher came upon a note on Ethan's desk, which alarmed her to the point that she took a picture of it on her cell phone. The note contained the following: a drawing of a semi-automatic handgun pointing at the words, quote, "The thoughts won't stop, help me," end quote. In another section of the note was a drawing of a bullet with the following words above that bullet, quote, "Blood everywhere," end quote. Between the drawing of the gun and the bullet is a drawing of a person who appears to have been shot twice and bleeding. Below that figure is a drawing of a laughing emoji. Further down the drawing are the words, quote, "My life is useless," end quote. And to the right of that are the words, quote, "The world is dead," end quote. As a result, James and Jennifer Crumbley were immediately summoned to the school. A school counselor came to the classroom and removed the shooter and brought him to the office with his backpack. Counselor obtained the drawing, but the shooter had already altered it. The drawings of the gun and the bloody figure were scratched out along with the words, "Help me," and "My life is useless," "The world is dead," and "Blood everywhere." Those were all altered by him. At the meeting, James and Jennifer Crumbley were shown the drawing and were advised that they were required to get their son into counseling within 48 hours. Both James and Jennifer Crumbley failed to ask their son if he had his gun with him or where his gun was located, and failed to inspect his backpack for the presence of the gun, which he had with him. James and Jennifer Crumbley resisted the idea of then leaving the school at that time, of their son leaving the school at that time. Instead, James and Jennifer Crumbley left the high school without their son. He was returned to the classroom. When the news of the active shooter at Oxford High School had been made public, Jennifer Crumbley texted to her son at 1:22 p.m., quote, "Ethan, don't do it," end quote. At 1:37 p.m., James Crumbley called 911, reporting that a gun was missing from his house and he believed his son may be the shooter. Further investigation revealed that the 6-hour 9mm handgun purchased by James Crumbley was stored unlocked in a drawer in James and Jennifer's bedroom. The gun recovered from the shooter at the school after the shooting was the same gun that was purchased by his father, James Crumbley, on November 26, 2021, in the presence of his son. Based upon the foregoing, the Oakland County Prosecutor's Office requested and received, authorized, we charged 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter as to James Crumbley and 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter as to Jennifer Crumbley.
Now, again, I know this is triggering to some, so if this is hard to watch, please click off the video. But you guys, this is straight off the press. This came this morning, and when I say my mouth hit the floor, because if you guys watched my live yesterday, I talked about how the parents were like this. How I talked about how it appeared that the parents were fully aware of how their son was. They not only was aware, but they encouraged this behavior because they also believe in the laws of the right to bear, which is very true. But if you guys listen to what the prosecutor said, the prosecutor was clear. That gun was purchased for Ethan. It was a gift. That gun, he had every right to post it and was bragging about it. This post right here, because it was bought for him. It was never the father's gun. It was never the mother's gun. It was Ethan's gun the whole entire time. And to make things worse, you were on school grounds looking up how to buy ammunition, and your mother laughs, ignores the school administration, which right there would have been a red flag. You cannot come back to school. But anyway, the mother laughs and says, "I'm not mad at you. Just learn not to get caught." Are you serious? Are you serious? You have to wonder why your child is looking things up like that during school hours. That means that this was not something that he was just casually looking up. It felt like it was something that couldn't be avoided. Like he needed to know this right now. And the fact that he took 3 clips to that school and emptied 30 rounds, just it makes it all worse. Like hearing the mountain of evidence, this makes it worse. But on top of the parents being held liable, the school absolutely needs to be held liable. As a parent, let me tell y'all, that school would have to answer as to why in the hell they would allow this boy to literally get off after seeing the things that he did and seeing how the parents behaved. The parents came off as if they did not care, and we see this a lot in the school system. Parents a lot of times don't care. They really want the schools to babysit their kids, but there is policies in place for a reason. Why in the hell would the prosecutor say that the parents failed to check to see if Ethan's gun was on him? The school didn't check either? Yeah, I saw the note on his desk. Y'all didn't think, let's look in his backpack. Let's check his locker. None of these things happened. None. It's really, really crazy. Really, really crazy that this went down this way. So, shortly after the prosecutor did a press conference stating that they were filing charges, they had already knew where their parents were. The last time that they checked in on the parents was last night. So to their knowledge, waking up today, doing the press conference, they knew that the parents were around. Wrong, wrong, wrong. The parents are on the run, you guys. They are on the run. The lawyer, their lawyers told the sheriff's department that they have not been answering calls or texts. They are not sure where James or Jennifer is. The thugs' parents are on the loose. And not only are they on the loose, and they already were failing to cooperate with the investigation, but now the manpower that is being used to look into what transpired at the school shooting, the manpower that is being used to get justice for these innocent lives, are now having to work triple overtime to find these losers. It gets worse. Like, oh my God, to, like I said yesterday, to throw salt on the wounds. Y'all already are working so hard to get some answers for these families, but now y'all have to do more work to find the freaking losers who knew what their son was gonna do. It's ridiculous. It's freaking ridiculous. So I actually have a video where the sheriff talked about what's going on right now and why there is a bolo on the parent's head, and how basically he just sounds really disgusted. He is really over it. He just cannot believe that this whole entire situation has played out this way, and that there are people like this really fucking over. But like I told you guys yesterday, the parents have no regard. Though these parents are people who really, they think that they are better. They think that they don't have to abide by the law. They don't, they feel like they have a right to this country and they can do whatever they want, include getting their son a gun. So I'm going to go ahead and play a little bit of the clip just so you guys can hear what the sheriff had to say about the thug's parents missing, and just so you guys can hear how disgusted he sounds, because he's really over it. He is really, really over it, and I feel so bad for the victims.
Standing by live for Sheriff. I just want to make sure that I do have you. There you are.
Yes.
So what is the status currently? Give us the latest update. Where are these two people?
That's a work in progress. When we were informed, actually by the media, that charging decision had been made and there would be a press conference this afternoon, we sent out our detectives and also had contact with the couple's lawyers. The couple's lawyers said that the individuals would be arranged to have us arrest them. And then later in the morning, the lawyer called and said they are not returning texts or calls. So, that's obviously concerning on a number of levels, and we have triggered a full fugitive activity alert for our folks. We have our fugitive apprehension team. We in consulting with the FBI and also the U.S. Marshals fugitive team. So we're all out there. I'm confident we're going to catch these two. It's just a bit frustrating. It played out in this manner.
Have any tips come in so far since this manhunt began and since we learned of it just within the last maybe hour or so?
Literally, it just started because, as I said, we were taken a little bit surprised ourselves this morning as it began to play out. So I don't think we have any tips yet, but again, I'm pretty confident that our combined resources, and we're going to put absolutely everything into it, will bring it to a conclusion. But if the public sees or hears them, we're pushing out their pictures and their license plate, call 911, and we'll make sure that gets properly addressed.
And listen, since you brought it up, I'll say it. It's a black 2021 Kia SUV with a Michigan plate, just to make sure that it gets out to anybody who might be watching from that area. Sheriff, can you talk to me more about the conversations that the attorney here has had? Because it seems as though from the information we have so far, and as you've laid out, the attorney thought there was this agreement. That's why this arraignment was put on the docket. And then all of a sudden she says, I'm calling, I'm texting, and I can't find them. What has this attorney told you about her last contact with these two?
All she said was that she's been texting and calling with no response. And again, we didn't know that charges were issued until we started hearing from the press that there was going to be a press conference about charges. So that's when, shortly thereafter, we had contact with the attorney and we're told that the intent was to make arrangements to have them arrested.
When was the last time that your officers had seen them?
We knew their whereabouts last night.
Okay. So at some point between last night or this morning when their attorney talked to them and now they're MIA. I understand that correctly?
Correct.
Would it be typical for them to be, listen, I don't know the right law enforcement term on this, Sheriff, forgive me, but to have a watch on them or for them to have some kind of surveillance from your team knowing that these charges may come down the pike? Or is that not standard operating procedure?
Well, if we knew that there was a high likelihood of charges, especially serious charges, obviously that's where you begin to differentiate how many resources you devote to it. Because again, we've got a ton of our folks very much involved in the investigation of the actual shooting. So we would have had to pull people off of that investigation to begin working on a surveillance, which we would have done if there was an indication that serious, felonious charges may be forthcoming.
So when did you find out about those charges?
We actually began to get some calls in the morning about a press conference, and that was the first we heard a press conference was happening or charges were going to be discussed.
Some calls from the prosecutor or some calls from reporters?
Reporters.
So the prosecution didn't give you a heads up that they're about to charge these two with 4 counts of manslaughter?
No, ma'am.
Did y'all hear that? So basically, the sheriff, as y'all can see by his body language, he's not here for it. He's really not. The parents basically got to get away. The reason why they're on the run and they are successful at even fleeing was the fact that the sheriff's department had no idea that charges was about to be brought to this family to even keep a tail on them. And they found out, like everyone else found out, by watching the news and listening to the journalist. They dropped the ball. They dropped the ball. This is a nightmare. A nightmare because, like I said, there has to be resources that now that they were using to do other things are now being used to find these two idiots. These two idiots that got away because the left hand didn't know what the right hand was doing. The prosecution should have definitely told the sheriff's department what was going on so that tail could have happened, because this is not uncommon. A lot of people try to flee. They are just not successful with it because someone's watching them.
Is that frustrating for you?
That's an understatement.
Can you tell me more about that?
We're working on a relationship. The prosecutor is new, and we're doing our best to make sure that these kind of things and communication happens in a more fluid way. That's the best I can tell you.
I have to say, Sheriff, you and I know viewers on this show don't know this, but I have another show that airs at 5 o'clock on weekdays. You and I talked last night, Sheriff, and you were gracious enough to come on the program. And one of the things that you told me was that you felt, as we talked about the devotion of resources that you have outlaid here after this horrific attack in your community, the initial attack itself, and then now, the pursuit of these parents that your team has to be involved in. We talked at the time about how you hadn't gotten a heads up from the school about this meeting with the parents the day that the shooting happened, as we've learned some very disturbing new details about what that meeting entailed. You told me last night you were feeling angry and exhausted. I wonder now, adding to this with these parents, effectively on the run. They are MIA. You did not get a heads up in a timely fashion from the prosecution. I hear you about the communication factor, but what does that do to the psyche of the team that's working on this and trying to find answers and trying to find accountability?
Our folks are extremely distraught on a lot of levels. it's really difficult for a lot of these folks, not the least of which having to go into the school and do what we ask of them, and that is to go past students that may be hurt because there's an active threat that's hurting other students if they don't. And on top of that, all of the hours, pretty much everybody's working without sleep for 3 days.
Yeah.
And we really need to get more information from everybody sooner than later.
So a couple of follow-ups for you there. Can you tell me how involved, so federal officials are working on this? You said the FBI, the U.S. Marshals are helping you try to find these parents and track them down. How involved is the FBI? What kind of resources and tools are you getting from them that are helpful in this situation?
We are hand in glove with both the FBI and the U.S. Marshal Service. Anytime we have a fugitive, not just in this case, but all the time. I have a full-time fugitive team, and our teams, whether it's the FBI or the Marshal Service, work so seamlessly together and catch people every day. That's why I'm so confident it's going to happen here.
Yeah.
But it's just frustrating that it occurred and that we're having to pour these resources into it and away from the investigation.
Did you have any indication, Sheriff Bouchard, that these parents might have taken off like they did? Was there anything that was drawing a red flag for you or throwing up a signal that, hey, this could be a possibility?
None whatsoever. And, especially in light of hearing from the attorney saying that they would make arrangements to turn themselves in for an arrest or be available to be arrested. And that was even before we knew there were any charges.
Setting aside what you've described as your frustration with the prosecution for not giving your office a heads up about these charges, your reaction to them sort of initially here, the fact that these parents have been charged with manslaughter, do you feel like that was the right decision? Is that something you support?
Well, I certainly think there was some culpability in terms of what charge is appropriate that's within the bailiwick of the prosecutor. But certainly, I think there is some culpability because there were so many things that now we have seen and now has been revealed to the public that were super troubling. And as a parent, and they didn't intervene, didn't share that, or didn't look for ways to do something proactively. Yeah, I think absolutely some charges are certainly appropriate.
Do you believe manslaughter charges are appropriate?
Well, that's going to be up to the prosecutor to prove, and our investigators are going to work hard to give them everything that they need.
One of the questions for you over the past couple of days had been, what is the quote unquote concerning behavior that you described at one of the initial news conferences about this meeting between school officials, the parents, and
So he was just in this final clip. The reason why I turned it off, he's just going to reiterate everything that the prosecution already said earlier about the disturbing behavior that the thug Ethan did display. But it's absolutely crazy that this family is on the run and that they're behaving the way that they are. Alex said in the comments, Mom was confirmed Trump supporter. Yes, Alex, if you check out my last live that I did last night, I actually read off the letter that she wrote to Trump, the disturbing letter that she actually wrote to him, just so people could get an idea of the family that we're dealing with. So it's just so crazy. Like, I knew that things was going to come to light. Did I know it was going to happen this fast? No. Did I know that the family was going to run? No. But I knew, like, something deep down told me that the whole family was POSs, like piece of butts. And I'm not I'm not shocked. I'm just really I'm more shocked that the school did not follow procedure or protocol more than anything. But knowing that the parents was reluctant to speak to the police, they wasn't helping with the investigation, I already knew what type of time they were going to be on. And lo and behold, evidence proves that they knew exactly what their son was going to do. So it's really, really crazy, you guys. I really want to know your thoughts about this. Let me know, replay gang, your thoughts about this in the comments below, in the chat. Thank you guys so much for rocking with me. Like I told y'all, this was going to be a quick live. I just wanted to give you guys the newest updates, just to give you guys a brief recap. Ethan is being charged as an adult. He has already been transferred to an adult facility. Both of his parents are being charged with 4 counts of involuntary manslaughter each, and they are on the run. We have the U.S. Marshals, the FBI, and the Sheriff's Department all looking for these 2 dingbats, and the car information is a 2018 Kia, a black Kia. So if you guys have any information, I know someone in the chat said that they lived in Michigan. If you guys see these 2 idiots, please call the police and get them right where they deserve to be, okay? Well, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and let you guys go. It's Friday. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I will always be back to wrap more information up in a bow and give you guys the details. Have a good night.